Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in to Boom Bust Fantasy Live. Tonight, we have got a full show, full packed stuff. We've got your guys' Dynasty trade questions, some Dynasty team reviews, your draft questions for your upcoming fantasy football drafts. We've got new features on the site. We've got mock drafts with viewers. Let's get right into it. We've got the first couple set of Dynasty trades. We'll check up on them just on the messages that come in through the chat. And then we've got a Dynasty team review for Austin that we'll do all at the top of the show. First trade is now on your screen on the TikTok feed. YouTube and Twitch, it should be showing the team there. We'll double check that there isn't an issue, but it should be. On this trade, we've got Alex B. Baller's Best Ball. Are we sending Malik Neighbors and Omarion Hampton for Jeremiah Love? In this deal? No. The notes here say the manager thinks this is fair. He's low on Hampton because of McDaniel's news. I can't see which. We'll refresh this and see if I can pull up any. There's a best ball league, 10 team, 1 quarterback, 8 starters, Dynasty league. Am I moving Jeremiah Love to bring in Neighbors and Hampton? Yeah, I'll take Neighbors and Hampton. It's going to be the Neighbors and Hampton side for me by a lot. I like Jeremiah Love. I like him a little bit more than I like Hampton. Not a full Malik Neighbors more. So I would be taking the package deal here. Let's get the next trade up on the screen. We have got the full queue ready to go. David Diaz. Yes, and Mr. Live Sessions. We're here, man. We're here. First time chatter from David Diaz. This one here. Okay, good. I was going to be so panicked if teams weren't going to be showing up on screen. You can check them right here. Heem. My Heem? Heem that I play with? How are you? I don't know if it's that Heem. Laporta or Kelsey? I typically just grab Kelsey if it's a redraft league. Let's take a look at this Dynasty question from Zayist. I think we covered this one yesterday, trying to win and get younger. We're taking moving Jamar Chase, moving Derrick Henry, bringing in Lamb, Genty, and a 27 first. That is the side of the deal that I would be taking here. We'll cover that one. David Diaz, I always followed you on TikTok and YouTube last year. Not sure if you remember. David Diaz as a name is familiar. I think so. We have been remembering a lot of people popping back in as the season is starting up. If David Diaz was on YouTube, then yeah. All right, we've got 8 trades. I think it's maybe 7 trades in the queue after this one. Let's keep them going through. This one already came through. I think Alex B just submitted this one again in Ballers. There we go. Here it came through with the actual league this time. Which side of this deal are we taking? Because we covered this one already, it's the Neighbors and Omarion Hampton side. Guys, if you're low on Omarion Hampton because of any sort of thing, because of what Mike McDaniel said about the running backs being in some sort of a committee, that's every team. That's like almost every team. I think Jonathan Taylor's the only team where one running back is getting 80 to 90% of the snaps every single week. So we don't need Omarion Hampton to hit that level of a snap share. I would be very happy to take Hampton and Neighbors if I'm just moving Jeremiah Love. 8 dimes. Give me my first 3 picks. So what do you mean 8? What do you mean 8 dimes? We'll check in on you in a moment, David Diaz. We're going to go through these. Here's another one from Alex B. Hopefully the right league has been set through. Here's the deal. Brock Bowers' manager wants insurance with the 2027 late first, doesn't think Neighbors is enough because of positional value. What would I be sending here? If I have Malik Neighbors and I wanted to bring in Brock Bowers, this is too much. This is too much. I would be sticking with Neighbors and the 27 first here. This is just too much for me to send to bring in Brock Bowers. I'm sticking with Neighbors. Let's do one more from the queue here, and then we'll check in on some of the messages from the chat. Cool. I think we just got a follow from 8 dimes. Help me with my draft. I go second in our draft. We'll come to it. 8 times. Got this one from R. Martin in our Dynasty trade queue. If you guys are looking to get Dynasty trade questions answered, we have them on our site. If you're looking to just get trade questions answered for your ESPN leagues, for your redraft league, we just launched that. You can submit those through our site. David Diaz with the follow on Twitch. Thank you, both. Thank you, both. On this trade, we've got a 12-team Superflex, start 11, full PPR with a bigger tight end premium, 0.75. Are we sending Jamar Chase and 2 firsts for Malik Neighbors and Ashton Genty? I think that the Jamar Chase side and 2 firsts is where I would want to end up. If we take 227 firsts, we can get a pretty good running back. We can get to a pretty solid running back. Maybe not Hampton in your league, but you're getting pretty good options. Or we're sending a first and a second, and that gets you closer to Chase Brown. Now, Chase Brown's a little bit older than Genty, but if we're looking at like what sort of moves you could make with these 2 extra firsts, and you have the best player in the deal, I would be taking the Jamar Chase side. So someone sending Malik Neighbors away, R. Martin. If you can send Martin and Genty away and get Jamar Chase and 227 firsts, even if you want to be contending this year, you can generally then take these 227 firsts and move them for a running back and be all right to make up for losing Genty there. We said we would cover that one, and then we'll hit some messages from the chat. We'll clear the screen off. Like 8 times, help me with my draft. I go second in our draft, 12-man half PPR. Is this just like play the game for you 8 times? I like whichever running back is there. And then late second round, I like Nico Collins. Early third round, I like Kyron Williams. Chris, how do I put my team on Boom Bust for you to put it on the screen? We just launched this for redraft leagues. We just launched this for your redraft leagues. We can go through it. I haven't demoed this yet with the new setup. Let me sign out, reset the demo. Hopefully this works. Go here, go here. Doing a little bit of housekeeping to reset our demo for syncing our leagues, because we did just launch ESPN syncing yesterday. For your trade questions, for your check-ins, your team reviews. Here we are. Here is the site, boombustfantasy.com. This is now lit up green. ESPN for your redraft leagues is now available. Yahoo will be later this week or early next week to sync your team to the site. The way to do that, say get started. Then to make your account, you can use a Gmail account. You can log in with Discord so that when you have trade questions, you can post them right to our Discord with the context of your team. I'll use Google for the demo here. I've clicked it. It then has made the account and says, well, now it's time to start syncing some leagues. Before it was sleeper only. We've now got ESPN. Let me find my my ESPN league ID. I did not think that I would need to be pulling it up right here. We've got our ESPN league ID. What you hit is ESPN, the league ID that you can pull from the settings of your league or from the URL of your league. I'll paste it in there. It goes in, it pulls all of the teams in the league, and you just have to pick which one is yours. My name is Jack. This one says Jack's Scary Team. This is a demo league that we set up a while ago. And then it asks if you want to connect to Discord. I skipped that for the demo. And now it's got my ESPN league, and it lets us use the tools like our trade builder. Ooh, does this account have access to the trade builder? We've launched our trade builder. Let me switch over to an account that has access. We've launched our trade builder that helps you build trades. It lets you submit your team for review on the screen under the My Advice under the My Advice tab. You can hit Team Advice and do a fantasy football check-in. We'll pull your team up on the screen. We'll talk about trades that you could make with that team to continue to best get you in line to succeed in your league. We did this last year, just tied to Twitch subscriptions offline. They are now just part of the show. So if you are looking to submit that, you can submit those on our site, boombustfantasy.com. And then things for trade questions to get into the queue so that we're not keeping up with hundreds and hundreds of messages in the chat. We could submit those on the site, and those will get added to the queue. But that's how you sync your league. You make the account on there and hit that and hit that. Chris, I put my league ID in and it's not working. Maybe your league is private. If it says your league is private, yeah, you do have to set it to public. You will have to set it to a public league. CD Herm. That's a response. Dill Daddy. I've got 4 firsts this year starting at number 4. What's the play? Need wide receivers. If you have 4 firsts this year, you could still take Tyson there. He's just not going to be starting at the beginning of the year. You could take Concepcion, Omar Cooper as an option. Denzel Boston already seems in line to have a starting role. If you have picks and you're looking for wide receivers starting at the 4th pick. Dill Daddy, you could also just explore trading up to 102 and taking Carnell Tate there. Kyle Hauk, favorite spot to draft from this year? Same as every year, Kyle. If I'm in a 12-team league, I like to be pick 10. Other than that, this isn't really a thing. Having a favorite spot to draft in any given year. I got Amon-Ra Laporte. Is it okay to have wide receiver tight end from the same team? Yeah, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter. It matters as much as teams having the same bye week, so you could plan to trade them. I would plan to trade them. David, did I see the draft question? Let me see it. You have the 11th pick in a 12-man. Who would you like to go? Cook, Chase Brown, or maybe Genty and Saquon? I like to take a wide receiver there. If CeeDee Lamb is available, I'll typically grab CeeDee Lamb. And David, we covered this in a video on YouTube. We pull that one up because it covers like the 1-2 turn. Do I like a wide receiver there? Do I like a running back there? I think I make a pretty good case for it. Pulling that one up. Here we've got a video of our draft guides. We go round by round looking at ADP and talking through wide receivers. We go round by round looking at ADP. Oh, excuse me, this one's running backs. Then we look at wide receivers and just go over, hey, at this point, I like the running backs more. Or in the first round, I like CeeDee Lamb late in the first round because all of the running backs in that area are the same. Chase Brown, not Bucky Irving, Chase Brown, Devon Achane, Genty. People ask a lot of which one of them to take. Typically, I just grab the wide receiver there and then whichever running back falls to me if I'm on the turn. Chris, what do you think about Bucky? I really like Bucky Irving. I would go longer on this, but you're spamming the chat. So we'll mute. Goodbye, Chris. Michael, 5 in a 10-man league. I have Burrow, Ken Walker, Scatabo. Should I keep or trade? Michael, the answer is always trade. Everyone, always, all the time. Blake on Twitch with Blaze, TTV, Dom, with the team. We did launch team syncing and team check-ins reviews for ESPN leagues last night, Blake. So if you're looking, if yours is an ESPN league, you can sync it and we'll pull it up and go over it. Otherwise, if it's Yahoo, that'll come out in the next couple days. Casey, is it bad that I have Chase Brown, Burrow, and Higgins on the same team? Should I make a trade? The answer is you should always be making a trade. Casey, we did cover this on a video on TikTok yesterday or the day before. But the answer is you should always be making a trade. Should you be making a trade because you have players from the same team? No, that should not be the reason you make a trade. The answer should always be you're building trades and sending out offers. Let's take a look at some of the Dynasty trade questions that we have in the queue. Blaze, where do you go to sync the league? From the profile. Your profile. It shouldn't let you make an account, Blaze, unless you've synced leagues before. If you synced your sleeper leagues and now you're syncing ESPN, you can go to your profile and sync your ESPN league right there. Why does the website trying to reveal my IP? It's not. It's not, Locke. Not more than any other website would be. I think we covered this one. Let's take a look at, we got a trade from R. Martins asking, in Dynasty Degens, Team 1 getting, we'll set this one live. Is it gonna go through? Come on. Failed to set live. Is it coming through? Maybe the site having an issue. Sam on YouTube, how are you? Here we go. It's on your screen. Here's the trade. This is the one that we're looking at right now. Second trade I'm submitting. Not sure if this is just a value win based on the team being closer too early, but I put mid first to be safe. Am I better off just holding? If you have Jared Goff, would I send, and you have Bryce Young as a second, would I send Jared Goff for Geno Smith and a first? I mean, and then just start Geno? You're definitely taking a production dip. If you're looking to rebuild and get a first round pick for next year, I don't know that a 127 first is going to get you a much better quarterback than Jared Goff. You could trade it for a younger quarterback who doesn't perform as well, like Jordan Love in that range. That's about the swap price. You could typically get Jordan Love. I don't know that someone would give you Mendoza for a 27 first. Maybe you could get Cam Ward, who has not performed yet. If you have Bryce Young and you just want to move a guy, I don't think you're getting a horrible price here. And then your team would be Lamar Jackson and then choosing quarterbacks each week between Jared Goff and Bryce Young. So I don't think that's horrible. Do you need to do it and bring in the extra first? You've already got 2 firsts next year. If you're trying to rebuild, yeah, you're looking at Ricky Pearsall as your third wide receiver, Sadiq and Barner. Yeah, if we're retooling this year, that's about the price. That's about the price. I don't know that you're going to get much more than that anywhere else. Next one coming up. Horseball says, rate my 8-man team. If it's an ESPN league, you can submit it through the site, Horseballs. If it's a Yahoo, that'll launch in the next couple of days. We'll probably program that after this live show. Gwizkol, Degenerate Dynasty, 12-team Superflex, start 9, half-point PPR, half-point tight end premium. How are we feeling on this deal? Jameson Williams and a second, or Michael Pittman and a 28 first? Now it says on your screen, projected late first. I don't think that much, or I don't try to project picks that far out. If it's a 2028 pick, like a lot of works. A lot of stuff changes. Blaze TTV, when you enter your league, it says your league is private. Then it's probably a private league. It's probably a private league, Blaze TTV. We can go through. Let me see if I can pull that up. You'll need the commissioner to change it to a public league. Am I logged in? Can I pull this over? I think I can. Yeah, so we'll show that in a minute. On this deal, man, which side of this deal is Gwizkol on? Gwizkol has Michael Pittman. Would I send Pittman and a 28 first to get Jameson Williams and a second? No. I think within this situation, I would rather, like, this team has extra 27 seconds. I'd rather be looking around deals where I'm sending Pittman and a second to then get an ups here at wide receiver, or get younger at wide receiver, rather than adding a first and bringing in a second for Jameson Williams. I don't know that this is one I would do. I think I would just stay with the first and Pittman and expect that Pittman's going to look all right this year. All right, we got Z Pivy. Z Pivy 13, day trading for dummies, 10-team Superflex, start 10, full point tight end premium. We don't have any tight ends in this offer. The trade here is T. Higgins for Saquon Barkley and Deshaun Watson. The notes here say I don't really care for Watson, but he said he'd also do this for AJ Brown as well. I'm not sure exactly what that means. Like, the Z Pivy has T. Higgins. Oh, okay. Where you could move AJ Brown and get Saquon and Deshaun Watson. Yeah, I don't think you need to worry about Deshaun Watson in this deal. It is just a straight swap in value. T. Higgins to Saquon Barkley. If you are looking to bring in a running back like Saquon, I don't know that this team needs a running back, Z Pivy. You've got Breece Hall, Bucky Irving, Travis Etienne, Nick Singleton, and Tony Pollard to cover a fourth running back. Do we need Saquon Barkley? Are we that deep at receiver? We've got CeeDee Lamb, Pickens, Higgins. That's 3. AJ Brown, 4. DJ Moore, 5. Wan'Dale Robinson is 6. Like, I don't think you're that deep that we need to swap stuff to running back. So I will say it's an even deal. Like, I don't know that Deshaun Watson really adds anything to this for me. Kind of the way that same way you're saying it on the notes. Would I move T. Higgins before AJ Brown? I think so. But would I do this? I might just stay with the wide receiver that's going to be around for years. Or I would say, I don't know that this team needs an extra running back where I would make this move, like an old running back. Our next trade coming up on the queue, Rice Lager, 12-team, 1 quarterback. No extra scoring listed. So we'll go with George Pickens and Jonah Coleman on one side, or Jordan Tyson, Jalen Warren, and Drew Aller. I think I'm sticking with Pickens and Coleman here. Like, Jalen Warren probably still has a role. Probably still has a role this year. But if we're looking for upside on Jonah Coleman, if I'm trying to move Jonah Coleman, this isn't the deal that I would do it in. And Rice Lager does not have Jonah Coleman. He has Jordan Tyson. If we're moving Tyson, Warren, and Aller, and we get Coleman with some upside, I'm totally fine with that. I would take the Pickens side. Andrew LeBlanc, when are we going back to the 11 a.m. streams? We're not, Andrew. We're not. Well, I mean, Andrew, I'm live every day at 11 a.m., Monday through Friday. We're just doing gaming on Twitch. So the fantasy stuff will be at night this year, Andrew. I think last year was 11 to 2, 3 hours. So we'll do about 90 minutes. I mean, although we've gone long every time. We'll start at 7:30. That's the current plan right now, 7:30 to 9. We may add some time on the front. That was the second half of my work days. Yeah, I know. I understand, Andrew. I just got to look out for me as well. Like, we did fantasy streams. We answered a lot of questions. I make a lot more money streaming gaming. And it doesn't go away in December, or excuse me, in January. So it doesn't really make sense. I can understand why it would make sense for a viewer. We get a lot of questions. But for me, it didn't convert as much as I wanted it to. All right, we got a trade question from Perky Jerky. The queue's sitting at about 4. 12 teams start 2 quarterbacks, 9 starters. There's a defense in this league. I'm not too sure that I'm going to worry about that. And then there's PPR. The notes say unsure about making this trade, unsure about who I would drop as well. Would I send Marvin Harrison, Chris Godwin, and 2/3 for Alec Pierce, Rashad White, and Blake Corum? Which side of this deal are you on? If you have Marv, am I sending Marv, Godwin? I don't know that I'm making this deal. I might just stick with Marv. Alec Pierce is currently injured. So if you're unsure about making this deal, Perky Jerky, just wait and see what's going on with Alec Pierce's injury. There's just not as much in training camp. And I'll probably do a video on this on the TikTok pretty soon. There is not nearly as much or as strict requirements for teams to report injuries. And Alec Pierce, last I heard, wasn't practicing. So if we're looking for players going right now or to have a long-term value, I may just hang on with Marv or look for a different deal. And then in the trade, getting back Blake Corum and Rashad White, I don't know that I find that much value in any of those guys. The thirds for Rashad White, a 27 third for White, I think is fine. The 28 third on there, I think is fine for the running backs. If we're looking to get cheap running backs in, I'm just not that enticed by Blake Corum. All right, we got Meaners in Chud League. We'll do this one, then we'll hit some messages from the chat. Meaners in Chud League, 12-team Superflex, start 9. On one side, we've got T. Higgins, Amon-Ra St. Brown. It's big. It's a big trade. A 28 first or Jamar Chase, Jalen Warren, Khalil Shakir. If you look at this on calculator value, like Khalil Shakir kind of gums this up. This is the type of move where just take him out of this deal when we evaluate it. If we're sending Jamar Chase, Jalen Warren, Should we expect to get Amon-Ra in a first and then T. Higgins? Like, I kind of like the T. Higgins side. Let me see if this works. Oh, okay. Ooh, this took the other side. I'm working on something. I'm looking at something here. Says favorite team 2. Okay, I can make some changes on this. I like the team 1 side here. Okay, we'll leave that. I'm sticking with I kind of like the T. Higgins, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and a 28 first. What's the number on this one? 1449. So that's the side I would go with. Smooth C 3012 found out my draft pick yesterday. I'm the 8th pick. Who should I target? I like CeeDee Lamb at pick 8. If Amon-Ra's there, I like him. Like any wide receiver at pick 8, and then whoever comes back to me in the second round at running back, I typically like. I don't really feel that strongly between James Cook, Omarion Hampton, Chase Brown, Ashton Genty. They were all within the same range of finish last year. So whichever, and I may have missed guys like Omarion Hampton. If he's the guy who falls back to me in the second round, that's what I like. Okie dokie. We said we'd hit that one. Let's clear it off the screen and hit some messages from the chat. As Arizona Cards, should I replace Diggs for Love as my backup quarterback? Should you send, like in a 1 quarterback league? I may just stick with the production of Stephon Diggs. I'm not sure if this is a Dynasty trade question card, so you can put it on the site if it's a Dynasty trade question. Alex Solomon, would you go Bowers or Genty pick 8 Dynasty? Bowers. Daryl Robin on pick 10 in a 10-man PPR. Been toying with going CD Lamb. Okay, he's at pick 10 in a 10-man league. He's been toying the idea of CD and Justin Jefferson at pick 10, 11. I like to get a running back at that range if I'm in that range. Like I like CD Lamb and a running back. I like Justin Jefferson and a running back there. I just like Lamb and Jefferson at wide receiver much more than I like the other wide receivers that go a couple picks later, Drake London or why am I blanking? AJ Brown. Alex Solomon, pick Genty or Bowers. We covered that. Tommy Tough Knuckles. How are you, Tommy? Talk to me about your knuckles, Tommy. What do you think about Adams, Ibuka, and Waddle for my wide receiver? It's going to be like an average level wide receiver room. Devontae Adams last year had like 800 yards and I think 14 touchdowns. Touchdowns don't repeat in that way. Maybe they repeat for Devontae Adams, but in general, across the league, year over year, touchdowns are very fluky, and like yardage and target percentage stays the same. So if you're looking at a player who has many more touchdowns in 1 year compared to, or it's like an outlier level of touchdowns for their yardage, I wouldn't expect it to repeat, but that's already kind of built into Devontae Adams' price. Is Jonathan Taylor for Hampton and Emeka bad if I'm giving Jonathan Taylor? Eagle Schools, if it's an ESPN league, we just added that syncing to our site to ask your trade questions. No name gross Dynasty League in a win now mode, and it's a trade question. Put it on the site. Jamar and Genty for Bijan and Nico. If it's an ESPN trade or a Dynasty trade, put it in. Ricky Sednick at the 6th spot. PPR, JSN, CMC, Amon-Ra St. Brown are all there. Who am I going? I like Amon-Ra. There. You could go Christian McCaffrey as well, too. Those are the two that I would be choosing between. Is this, Chris, who do I draft at the 101 in a 24 man? Bijan? Gibbs? It's not going to be that different. With Tyson on IR, do you think I should grab Jacoby Lane or Quentin Johnston? Oh, just to pick them up? Johnston. Why Amon-Ra over JSN? It's not. It's a coin flip for me, Jason. It's a coin flip. I get a lot of questions about, here's the reality, Jason. I get a lot of questions about who to take with a top 6 pick or like pick 5. It's not, yeah, see, I'm at pick 5 and I'm stuck. Don't. People just don't like this answer. Don't be stuck. All the time and effort, or like the mental effort that you're using right now, like, oh, I saw a live. I saw a fantasy football live. I should jump in and ask this question about my draft. It's not going to help you at all to win your league. It's a coin flip. It doesn't matter. What you really want to find is, like, in round 8, are there players who can become massive value risers? Do you know how to pivot throughout your draft? The person that you take, do you take JSN or Amon-Ra St. Brown? It's basically a coin flip. And in that situation, I would go with Amon-Ra, who's been wide receiver 3 for the past couple of years. But if I co-manage some leagues. If my buddy Peter said, hey, I like JSN more this year. Okay, fine. It doesn't matter. Neighbors, I got a guy panic in my league trying to trade me Hall and Scatterbo for Monty and Swift. Should I do that? Put it in on the site. Neighbors. Adrian, think you might have answered during an ad. It's also a keeper question. Do I keep Scatterbo in the 9th, Tet in the 6th? I didn't answer during an ad, and if I had, I'll tell you, I wouldn't go back. We had Andrew asking, when are we going back to the 11 streams? Get a lot of people saying the question got answered during the ad. My man, we are not on the same team about who gets paid with ads and what that situation looks like. So I'll say that live. If you had to watch an ad, that pays me. So we're not on the same team about that. Think you might have answered during an ad. Would you keep Scatterbo in the 9th, Tet in the 6th, or Devonta Smith in the 6th as well, half PPR? I guess Scat in the 9th. It's a very good value. Warley, should I trade? If you have a trade question, we're taking those through the site. Aaron Massey, does the website work with these ESPN? Yes, it launched last night. Your league just needs to be public. Let's go over that, and then we'll do a team review. If you are in an ESPN league, I'm the commissioner of this. It is just a dummy league that we did as a mock draft on stream to test out the site. You will have to go to, let's find this. I realized I've done this before. League managers tools, edit league settings. And yes. Okay. You will go to league. If you're the league manager, where's the league homepage? League manager tools. Edit league settings. Basic settings. And you do need the league to be viewable to the public. So when we sync your ESPN league, if it's not publicly available, I can't sync it. It's as straight as that. It's as straight as that. That's it. So it just needs to be set to public. You can ask your commish to do it, and all that it does is make the league viewable to the public so that we can sync it easily. How do I feel about Jadarian Price's ADP right now? I think he's like late 6th round, 7th round. It's going to depend on what site you use, Slenderman. I like it. I might like if Jadarian Price is starting the season and I can just write down on my notepad that I use for my draft. Like I have a pencil anytime I'm drafting, and I'll have a notepad of like 12th round, take Zach Charbonnet. 11th round, take Zach Charbonnet. I'm talking 12-man or 12-team league sizes. I'm typically taking Charbonnet in round 10, 11 every time. So if I'm taking Jadarian Price, then I definitely am, and I'll end up with a starting running back throughout the entire year. X Cole's first time chatter, pick 6 in a 10-man full PPR. Got JSN in London. Was there on the turn. Should I take or go running back? If like Chase Brown is there, I would take Chase Brown. X Cole's. I would take a lot of the running backs there. All right, we've got a team review we're at 7:30. I still feel like we're on the intro of the show, but we've got a Dynasty team review coming in through the site. We'll take a look at this Dynasty one coming through. We are going through these. X Coles, I do just want to call it, who said pick 6 is terrifying. No, it's not. It's not anything. Your pick has no... X Coles, you're in the live. You're on the Twitch. I don't like to BS people. Your draft pick does not matter. It is not terrifying. It does not correlate to your success in fantasy football at all. You should be making enough trades that your draft pick just does not matter. And also, it doesn't matter even if you're not making trades. It doesn't matter. Vlad just logged into my team. How do you submit on the site? Check out Boombus Pro, Vlad, in the top. If you're on your phone, I'm not sure how it should be in the nav bar. It's best on desktop, and in the nav bar, it'll say Boombus Plus for submitting trade questions, submitting your team, your redraft team for review, as well as Dynasty team credits for review are there as well. Kyle, can we submit private leagues? No, it has to be public on ESPN. All right, Dynasty team review. We're finally getting to it. We got a lot of chats coming through. Here's an example of what we do for our Dynasty reviews. For redraft, it'll be a little bit less, a little bit cheaper. Let's get this one going. I'm going to put this one up on the stream. Charlie, Saquon, Chase Brown, Hampton. Rank those 3. I would have Saquon last. Maybe Chase Brown first. For Brown, Hampton, Saquon. Charlie, it's not that important. Not that fantasy football's not important. Like, that ranking is not that important for how your fantasy league is going to go. We just put those 3 running backs in a tier, and then whichever one you get is great. Chase Brown's value that high? He was running back 7 last year. James Cook was running back 6 in PPR scoring. Chase Brown was running back 7 in PPR scoring. With the missed time for Joe Burrow. So I would expect a better year this year, or the same. I don't trust the Bengals O-line, but he catches a lot. X Coles. Doesn't matter if you trust their O-line. Like, top 7 in scoring is top 7 in scoring. Maybe you think that if their O-line was better, he could be an even better running back. Like, set the correct baseline, X Coles. Like, we can't, that part's not opinion. He was very good last year. So what you think of the O-line doesn't matter. Like, that's the baseline. The value is there. Okay, I've been saying this. We've got this on the screen. We've got a Dynasty team review coming in for Austin, and here's how we do these. Now, Dynasty is a little bit more than your normal redraft, a little bit more to it, but we have launched these for your ESPN leagues to pull your team up on the screen and go through them and talk about trades we would make and so on. Adam Hopkins, you have time to submit a Dynasty analysis? Yeah, you do. Yeah. We've got this one here. We'll start it at 40 minutes on the show. And we need to start doing these faster. Vlad, ESPN was a great addition. You've been waiting on it for months. Thank you. Thank you. It's on there. Here we go. Show us your TDs. It's a 12-team Superflex. Start 11. PPR, half-point tight end premium. It's a little bit deeper. It's a little bit deeper of a league. We'll go through the positions, each one, quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, and the draft picks associated with this Dynasty roster. And we give a rating 0 through 4. It's a combination rating that is built on the expected production of each of the players at the position, as well as tradable value. So, for example, if you have 5 quarterbacks, I have a league where I think I have 4 very good quarterbacks. I need to trade them. I'm not going to get great production because I can only start 2, but I have a lot of trade value. So we build a combination ranking. So let's talk about it. You've got Jaden Daniels, Jared Goff, Jacoby Brissett in a Superflex league. Jaden Daniels is top 3, top 4, top 5 Dynasty quarterbacks. If we're talking about, I can picture his face, Josh Allen, Drake May, Caleb Williams is up there, top 3, top 4, maybe Lamar still up there. And then Jaden Daniels, top 5-ish. And then Jared Goff each year is just putting up like top 10, top 11 production in terms of quarterback scoring. And he'll still be playing for a couple of years. I think this is a very strong 2. There's not a lot of tradable value, which is going to be a bit of a knock. Like we're not going to be, there are times where we're looking at these teams and saying, hey, you need wide receivers, but we can down tier from a quarterback or trade some of the name value for similar production. That's not really possible with someone like Jared Goff. David, thank you for the boxing gloves on the TikTok. David, where can you submit the site? It's right there. It's right there. Big center. That's our website, David. Let's go to running backs. Yeah, you're on the TikTok feed, David, so I was pointing in the right spot. We are live on Twitch and on YouTube where you can see way more. And when I'm pointing there, my face isn't in the same spot and the text isn't in the same spot. So I might look crazy on that stream. Let's talk running backs for this roster. We got Bucky Irving, Saquon Barkley, DeAndre Swift as the core 3. Rachaad White probably has some value and some production this year. Keaton Mitchell may be a starter. Same thing with like Kamani Vidal. Maybe you get 1 to 2 starts from them for your team this year. Not that much of an impact. So top guys. Saquon Barkley was running back 14 last year. Does he get back to being a top 12 guy this late in his career? The Eagles brought in a new offensive coordinator. Yeah, I think he could get back to being top 10. We're talking about him in redraft. I am a little bit skeptical. I would put him kind of towards the middle of the second round or the back end of that tier as we look at players like Derrick Henry, who outscored him last year. So I would consider those guys much closer than maybe the market. Here we've got Bucky Irving. I know in general in Dynasty, people are a bit worried about Bucky Irving with Kenneth Gainwell coming in. Rizkus, it's right there. How to submit. With Kenneth Gainwell joining the Tampa Bay, I still like Bucky Irving. Scuba Steve, exactly. Jack loves the buck. I do like a buck. Why do I like Bucky Irving? In his rookie year, if we're looking at a situation where Kenneth Gainwell comes in and has a role and Bucky Irving is not hitting 70% of the snaps or like 75 or more like we thought he would last year, and he was at the start of the year before getting injured. If he's not getting that role, what does his production level look like? Well, as a rookie, he was hitting around like 55% of the snaps and was a running back 13 on the year. So can Bucky Irving be a really solid RB2 for years? Like, yeah. So I kind of like his value more than the market because I think the pricing on this, and DeAndre Swift is a great example of the archetype of player. Like DeAndre Swift is running in, year out, running back 14, 16, 15. A bad year would be like running back 18, or the way that the league goes, however many running backs there are. So if we have like 2 really solid RB2s and then an upshot at RB1, this is feeling like we can't really move Bucky Irving for a lot of trade value right now. Saquon is only movable to some specific teams that aren't in a rebuild. And then DeAndre Swift is somewhat similar, but we're going to get good production. I'm going to write this down as a 2 because there's not a ton of flexibility with our trading here, but we do have decent production. And then Rachaad White probably gets you at least 5 starts this year. If things go the way that we might think that, if things go the way we think they do for the commies, if he's catching passes, or if he even just beats out Ja'Cory Krusky-Merritt. Like, before Bucky was the lead back in Tampa, like Rachaad White was a bad running back, but was the lead running back on a team. And I don't know that Ja'Cory Krusky-Merritt is a great running back who couldn't have his job took. Wide receivers, Justin Jefferson, Brian Thomas, AJ Brown, Alec Pierce, some upside shots like a Jalen Coker, maybe Calvin Ridley is still okay. And then other guys here, nothing's really jumping out. Possibly Jerry Jeudy. Not a ton here. One strong anchor piece for long-term in Dynasty. We've got top 10 upside for AJ Brown this year. And then Brian Thomas hopefully bounces back for you. If he bounces back pretty quickly or early in the season, we could see a good value rise here. I don't know that I could call this a 3. If Brian Thomas was Drake London and it was Jefferson, AJ Brown, or if it was like Ted McMillan, that would put us at a 3. We're going to mark this one as 2. tight ends, Brock Bowers, Trey McBride, Stowers, Okonkwo. How strong is the tight end premium in this league? 0.5 point? Okay, this is 4. This is the most 4 of any position group we've probably seen on any of our live streams or any of our team reviews. You've got Bowers, you've got McBride, you've got sleeper options in Chig Okonkwo that have some hype right now. You've got Eli Stowers that's going at, in a league like this, probably pick 108 in a rookie draft, 108, 109. And then your draft picks, you've got your own, we call that a 2. How are we feeling about this team for contending this year? I think this team can contend. I think this team is making the playoffs. When we're looking at aging assets, I'm not necessarily feeling like we need to move off of Jared Goff. I would say I want to move on from Jacoby Brissett. If we can find a way to get anything for Brissett, or in our minds be treating him like mentally saying like he's not even going to finish the year. That would be my expectation, or it wouldn't surprise me if Jacoby Brissett wasn't finishing the year for the Cardinals. If you look at projected, like Vegas's projected win totals, the Cardinals are the lowest. I think it's 3.5 or 4.5. And when teams are that bad, they don't stick with their quarterback. They pivot and say, hey, thank you, Jacoby Brissett. We're going to look at Carson Beck. Or thank you, Justin Fields. We're going to look at some dumb, terrible quarterback, whoever started for the Jets last year. If you remember who was starting for the Jets in the back half of the year, you can let me know in the chat. But it's situations like that. Like last year, Kyler Murray was not playing well. They said, we don't want you to get hurt. We'll cut you. We'll start Jacoby Brissett. That's kind of what is next in line for Jacoby Brissett. When a team is only projected to win 3.5 games, maybe they get to 5. But the expectation is usually that quarterback doesn't make it through the year. So if we can get value from Jacoby Brissett, we will. But I think this is a contending team this year, a contending team next year. We just need to shape that value a little bit and take a look at it. So what we've got on our site is the lineup power for your Dynasty League. Dynasty, you look at how you're going to do this year, as well as how your players' values will hold up over years. So we have the lineup power, which looks at your league's scoring, the required roster, 12 teams. You can start 2 quarterbacks and you have to get to 11 starters. And it builds out, hey, what's an idea of the best lineup? And then on average, how many points are they going to score, and which team is going to score the most points? And your top 2. Your top 2, and there are like some clear misses. This is a clear, like, you should be making the playoffs this year. You should be making the playoffs next year, and you should probably be making the playoffs the year after that. If we're looking at your future value, your top 3, with most of it being in your tight ends, which is where we might look to make some changes. If there are teams that are very low on tight end scoring, like the J Crew at the top, I guess I can say the words Jew Crew. It's not a slur. It's the team name. People can be Jewish. If they wanted to do an up tier to Trey McBride or an up tier to Brock Bowers, can we get a big trade win on that? Can we get a big value win? I would be exploring things like that with this many tight ends, or a team like Acute Bronchitis. How are their tight ends? Can we move this? Hawk on My Woody has Gadsden. Can we move Stowers to him? Can we try to take some of this extra value that's sitting on our bench, or possibly like developing or not developing, and move that for more sure things that are just production for you this year? When your team is at the top of the projected scoring, having Stowers is cool. Having Chig Okonkwo is cool. Like, just having sure production is cool. David Morrell, you can't connect CBS. Can I DM you? No, we don't have any CBS access right now. We have ESPN, Sleeper, Yahoo's coming next, and then depending on the demand, adding in like NFL.com, CBS. But those top 3 are the main focus right now. So what would I do if this was my team? I think I'm okay with Jared Goff. When I'm drafting in a startup, like, I would like to get Jared Goff as my second quarterback, because he's 31 right now. And if he's playing till he's 33, 34, we have multiple years of quarterback being pretty good, like top 10 production, and he's very cheap. That's not something I would look to move. Generally, I'm trying to convert my team to to Jaden Daniels and Goff. I'd look to move on from Brissett like we talked about. We're okay with the running backs here. Maybe we bring in someone like David Montgomery for cheap just to add to our line, like bolster our lineup to handle any injuries or bye weeks or some other options. So I'll look at some backup running backs that we can add to your squad, and then possibly trades involving Bowers, sending Bowers away to get a stronger wide receiver, or sending Trey McBride away to get a stronger wide receiver. But with the tight end premium, it's not going to be that big of a need for you. Other things that we're going to look at is like, can we just sell the hype of Jalen Coker? Can we sell the projected upside of Okonkwo and Stowers? And we'll look at selling them to the younger or the possibly more rebuilding teams like Hakon My Woody or Lamarvels. Those are the things that I would explore. I could also be fine with just doing a down tier from Jaden Daniels to keep similar production or high production upside, but move on from some of the youth and add that to wide receivers. So that's going to be the goals that I'll have. And then offline, I go through the team. I go more in depth going through each of these, and we write up kind of what we just talked about with real trade examples. And you'll be able to see that, Austin. I know Austin's watched a couple times, but for everyone else, we've got the My Advice tab, and it will show any trade questions you've submitted in the past that you can go back to. This is loading on my end, as well as your team review. And you can click through here. For me, it shows all the ones that I've done reviews for. But here's one that we did yesterday for Rob. You get a write-up of everything that we talked about. It'll show a snapshot of your team at the time of review. Rob said he wanted to retool coming out of a startup. And then down the side are just, hey, these are the types of trades I would make, as with descriptions of why I would try to make that trade, or what sort of counters I would offer, or what my goal is when I'm making that trade, or like rules that I would have. For example, like in this league, we were talking about possibly moving Jahmyr Gibbs. And I was saying, like, if I'm moving Gibbs, I'm only doing it in this way. And that would all be in that write-up. So thank you very much, Austin, for submitting that. We are going to have these for your redraft leagues. For ESPN, you can sign up and add one of those to the queue tonight. If your league is public, those are a less in-depth product than this, where we'll pull up the leagues, we'll talk through trade options that we would go through, and then there's not a write-up that follows up after that. So thank you, Austin, for that one. I think we said, let me write that down. I think we said that, or David Merrill, I DM'd you. What's up, David? Who was the name that I saw? Was it on YouTube? Who had submitted one? I guess I'll just look. At where the queues are at, and we could take some questions from the chat as well. I'm refreshing this on my end. We've got 4 Dynasty trades in the queue. We've got 2 more team reviews, so we're going to get to those. How do I get you to review my team, Zach Ski? We can go through it. If you want to have your team pulled up on the show, that is a premium feature of the site. Where is it? I think it was this window. From the homepage where it shows your team. If you've synced your league, if you're on ESPN, it does need to be a publicly viewable league. We went over how to do that right here. That is under, you'll need your commissioner to go into your ESPN league, and under basic settings, it needs to be make league viewable to public. Yes, because we just call the ESPN API and read your league. Zach Ski, it's a sleeper. If it's a Dynasty sleeper, we have that set up. If it's a redraft team on sleeper, that'll come out later this week. And to do that, we have the advice grouping here. My Advice tab, where you can check in on past things that you've submitted, like trade questions and team advice. Otherwise, it's just trade advice, which works as a calculator. You type in your trade question for your redraft league, your trade question for your Dynasty league, and then hit request expert review. That uses a credit system, or if you're in a redraft league, it uses a subscription to have unlimited trade question asking throughout the season. If you just want to submit your team, and we put it on the screen and we look at your league and we talk about it, for your redraft league, we have a check-in credit. If you buy the annual subscription for the redraft package that we have this year for Boom Bust Plus, that'll give you a a check in credit. Otherwise, they're, I think, $5.99. They're on discount if you're on subscription as well. They're $4.99 if you have subscribed. Do a little bit less advertising. Let's take a look at a couple other trade questions that we have here. Let's hit a couple of the messages from the chat as well, like Tyler Sperry, thoughts on Bucky and thoughts on Scatabo now that Harris is there. I don't have that much of a change on Cam Scatabo with Najee Harris there. I think my read of that situation was there was not a lot of depth behind Scatabo there. So they bring in Najee Harris. I think Scatabo, I mean, if he's getting 65% of the snaps and he's going in the 5th, 6th round, sometimes he's going in the 4th round when we do mock drafts. If we have time tonight, we'll do a viewer mock draft. But it's not going to change my value on him. Griffin, would you rather keep Ibuka for a 6th round pick or Judkins for an 11th in full PPR redraft? I think I'm taking Judkins. We're doing a lot of talking. Let's try to stay hydrated and not lose our voice. Let's hit some of these trades from the queue. Did we cover this one from R. Martin? Tyler Sperry, we'll hit Bucky again. Bucky's on this trade, so we'll talk about him. R. Martin is in a 12-team super flex, start 11 players, PPR 0.75 point tight end premium. The trade is Lamar Jackson, Deebo Samuels, and Jacoby Myers for Mendoza, Cousins, Bucky Irving, Kenneth Gainwell, and a 27 first. If I'm in a super flex league, you're getting a bunch. You're getting the Raiders quarterback, and you'll probably be able to know which one to start throughout the year. You're getting Bucky Irving, who Tyler Sperry, I like Bucky Irving. We did just go over him. If Kenneth Gainwell is there and Bucky Irving is not getting 70% of the snaps, I'm fine with that. We've seen Bucky Irving as a rookie be a very good RB2 with like 55 to 60% of the snaps. If that's what he's doing, yeah, he's a really good RB2. Expect him to finish running back 13 to 17. And that has value. It's just not the upside that he had last year. Typically in fantasy, when a player doesn't hit the upside on 1 year, when we reset to what we expect he's going to do, people undershoot it. So I'm in on Bucky Irving. At the prices that he's going in redraft, at the prices that he's going in Dynasty, I like him at those prices. Am I doing this deal if I have Lamar? Moving Lamar, Deebo, and Jacoby Myers. What are we gaining? We're gaining a 1st round pick and a running back committee. I don't know that I'm doing this. I don't know that I'm moving this. If I'm moving Lamar, I do like the combo of like, we're moving Lamar, we're moving Deebo and Jacoby Myers, who can be harder to move. I want less like this one. If you plug this into a trade calculator, it's going to show that there's more value on the Mendoza side, but it's because it's kind of like cheap cheating value. Kirk Cousins is in there for half a season and then goes away. Kenny Gainwell's in there for this year and then kind of just goes away. You get a 1st round pick. I think I might just look for something else. If I had this deal, I would stay with Lamar, because if I'm down tiering for my quarterback, I like to just get the packages that I like to have coming back. I like much more. Tommaso on tap, like my Tommaso? Like Evan's buddy? Mendoza is a bust, he says. I don't know that he's a bust. I don't. Oh, it is. It is Tom. What's up, Tom? Let's get the next trade up on the screen. There we go. Logan Gross, 12-team Superflex, start 9. Kickers and defense on there. PPR half-point tight end premium. Are we sending Malik Neighbors, Casey Concepcion? This person has Malik Neighbors. Their team is on the Twitch. And how do I make my finger point there? This way, that way. There it is. Oh, you're fine, Tom. I have not read it yet, but I'll check your message, Tom. Dynasty win now mode. I have Neighbors. Sending Neighbors and Casey Concepcion for Justin Jefferson and Isaiah Likely and I guess Ted Hurst. How do we feel about this? Like, I don't like Isaiah Likely a lot. Does this team need a tight end? No. If we're in win now mode and we're trying to make up for losing Jordan Tyson, would I send Neighbors? I mean, this is a team, you can check out the team. They've got Neighbors, Pickens, Jordan Tyson, Luther Burden, T. Higgins, Casey Concepcion. Are we moving all of those or those two receivers to get one? We would then have Jefferson, Pickens, Tyson, Burden, Higgins, and an extra tight end. There's no tight end premium. I don't know how this helps you win now more. I do really like Justin Jefferson. I kind of like Concepcion. Neighbors side by far, Neighbors over Justin Jefferson. So basically, I think they're very similar in value. Neighbors and Justin Jefferson. So then Concepcion to go to Likely and Ted Hurst. I don't want to do that. I think some of my slowdown there was seeing I'm in win now mode and like Isaiah Likely, I don't really want him. Juju Pro, what's your feeling with Hampton considering the recent comments? We covered it in a video on TikTok, Juju Pro. Check the TikTok. We covered that one. It doesn't bother me. Tommaso, I'm just talking trash. I think this is the first time I've come across your live. Great stuff. Always good to see you, Tom. Always good to see you. Hit a Simon soon. Oscar, thoughts on Olave after the injury news? No change. No change. In any given year, year over year, Oscar. So the question is like, hey, should Chris Olave be better without Jordan Tyson there to start the year? Not really. Not really. The Saints were a bottom 10 offense last year. So there are like every year you can take a bottom 10 offense and just add a ton of yardage. And the players in that offense, like you can just add a ton of yardage and just make up yards that now go to Jordan Tyson without taking anything away from Chris Olave. If we're starting really small on the pie, I know people think of like, oh, well, he's getting a lower percentage of passing or pass attempts. But if they add a lot more pass attempts, like the pie just gets bigger, then Olave stays the same. So adding Tyson didn't bother me. Losing Tyson didn't bother me. I think it hurts someone like Tyler Shuck, who needs the offense to grow and be bigger. But with each individual player within it, like Travis Etienne, maybe it hurts him a little bit, like fewer yards, fewer red zone attempts, stuff like that, shorter drives. But does it hurt Chris Olave? Not really. Not in a meaningful way. Let's take a look at Dom with a Dynasty trade question. Parker Washington, Carnell Tate, or Malik Neighbors. It's a 10-team, 1 quarterback start, 8. If I have Carnell Tate and I can move Parker Washington to get Malik Neighbors, especially in a league like this, the reason we take trade questions through the site, because it shows the league scoring. Being a 10-team, 1 quarterback start, 8, you get very different values from a league that I might start up. When we start up our leagues, we've got 10 boom bust leagues. We do 12 teams, start 10 every week. So just fast math, we're starting 120 players every week. This league is starting 80. So the players of those extra 40 players just aren't as valuable. All that value goes up towards the top to someone like Malik Neighbors. So if I could move Tate and Parker Washington and get Malik Neighbors, I would be. Asher, you can't sync Yahoo? Correct. For today. It's within the next few days, Asher. ESPN launched yesterday, so we'll be adding in Yahoo syncing very shortly. And then Sleeper Redraft syncing very shortly. And then we'll start to discuss like possibly CBS or NFL leagues. All right, final one on my end in the queue, and I think we have some team reviews that we'll hit. Should I comment my team or just wait? And the team reviews a team review wouldn't be free, Asher. Oh, Prom King with the trade. I was then going to trade my 104 and Pickens for Love. Thoughts? Trade 104 and Pickens for Jeremiah Love. That's okay. Are we taking, you have Kyron Williams and Isaiah Likely. Should you trade them to get Garrett Wilson? I think you could get much more. Prom King. I think you could probably get a second round pick thrown onto this deal with the follow up of then using this to free you up to. This feels like we're overpaying to get Garrett Wilson, or we're undervaluing Kyron Williams, or we're undervaluing Isaiah Likely. Call it what you want. I don't know that I like the deal of you moving Kyron and Likely away. Would I then trade 104 in Pickens for Jeremiah Love? Not likely. Not Isaiah Likely. Juju Pro, I will go see the TikTok just while I'm here. Ooh, David Diaz, am I high on Ibuka? David Diaz back on the YouTube. Am I high on Ibuka this year or Lad? Who am I higher on? Maybe Ibuka. We've seen both of them be good. Lad did it for longer ago. And then Ibuka was very good to start the year last year. We do have the added context that Baker Mayfield was very injured last year, and they got rid of that offensive coordinator. And Mike Evans is no longer with the team. So do we start to see Ibuka play like he did in the first half of last year? Maybe. And I may go with Ibuka, but typically I generally have those guys as like a coin flip. Like I don't really worry that much about which one of them that I get. When I'm in my actual draft, I'll end up looking at it and saying like, I'm going to make my pick here. And then I'll be planning out my next pick and saying like, I'm happy with whichever one of these, as long as Ibuka, or that's the way I actually talk about this. As long as Ibuka or Lad gets to me, I'm happy. Whichever one. And I like when people talk about your favorite spot to draft in a draft, it's because they want the decision to get made for them. Like Ibuka or Lad, whichever one falls to me, and I just don't want to have to make the decision. I want to be the last one to get one, because then I get something that I think is equivalent value for the cheapest. Would be the way to look at it. Alrighty. We've got a review for Madden approved for Ryan S. Let me make some notes. Let me move so that my face doesn't jump off the camera. Ryan S. will start this one at 1:09, 1 hour, 9 minutes. I write down a timestamp for each of these because they do live on the YouTube. You can come back and check them out. There will also be a full write-up of this Dynasty team review. We offer these for your redraft leagues. We don't go as in-depth, but they're much cheaper. We'll pull your team up on the screen. We'll talk about what you've got, trades that we might make, because we can see your entire league if you sync your team to the site. So someone like Warren, I'm not going to, if you want us to take a look at your team, put it on the site. Let me find this window, tab, paste it. Let's bring. Let's do this team review without my mic muted. Let's do that. What we do on these team reviews for your Dynasty team is we will go through position by position and give a ranking 0 through 4 stars. And it's a combination of your projected scoring coming up in the next 1 to 2 or so, however many years, as well as tradable value. Like here, we've got a team with 3 quarterbacks, which means we have to sit one of these guys every week, other than bye weeks, which I guess then they're sitting on their bye. So we're going to have some more tradable value here. That's how we build these out. You can have very deep setup, very deep positions that we then say, let's move some of this value to a different position in a trade. So we'll go through position by position. We'll also take a look at your future value in picks. And then we'll talk about like, what's the state of your team in your league? Is there a juggernaut and you're at the bottom? And are we in a pretty clear retooling year? We'll try to come up with an outlook for the next couple of years, and then we'll come up with trade plans on the live show of general trade plans. I would like to down tier from Brock Bowers and get Tyler Warren and a wide receiver as a general concept. Those players aren't on this team. I was just thinking of players on the fly. And then afterwards, after the show, I go through your league live and we type up your individual trade concepts, trade ideas that I would be making with this team, and you get a write-up posted on the site. Ryan says, how funny, this is my friend. Is it really? Wait, Ryan, no, Ryan is, this is for a Ryan. Is this does Ryan have a friend, Ryan? Or Ryan, did you submit the wrong league? I have Ryan submitted this. Ryan S submitted the league in the team. Madden approved. There we go. The team is Madden approved. We'll take a look at it. I did get a little distracted. Scooby, ESPN leagues do have to be public. Alrighty, let's go through it. Quarterbacks, Mahomes, Jordan Love, nothing much else, like a wet fart. Michael Penix. I'm sure his mom wouldn't call him a wet fart, but I'm not that excited about him. Jake, yeah, probably if you submit it tonight. We're at 8:43 where we are going to stop at. Well, yeah, if you submit it right now. Okay, how are we feeling on these quarterbacks? Mahomes, he's been like QB 8, 9, 10. Last year, he was scoring really well by running at the beginning of the year, saying that he needed to run for his team, but then gets injured. What do we expect for Patrick Mahomes? He does still have that top 5 upside as a pocket passer. We can't say that he doesn't, but it's been a while since we've seen it. Jordan Love also actually has top 5 upside as a pocket passer, and we have seen it. He has been quarterback 5. More recently, he's a young quarterback who's good. He's in the group of pocket passers. Jordan Love, CJ Stroud, Mendoza might join into that group. If Cam Ward gets better, he'll join that group. But he's nothing special. Not really something that we can trade. So this is like 2. It's not a 1. We have 2 quarterbacks and they are solid. But it's not going to be one of the stronger quarterback rooms. Running backs, Chase Brown, Josh Jacobs, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. Again, we've got 2. They're just not that great. Ryan, I recently traded for Jordan Love and Henderson and a 3rd round pick. We could filter this to only show trades. I'll come back to that and check in on it. Running backs, it's weak. I'll say Woody Marks probably has more value than the market thinks. I don't know that he's completely jobless with David Montgomery coming in there, but not a ton of value. I'm kind of just calling out specific things about these players. Like Chase Brown, we really like. Has top 5 upside. Is still young. We like it. Josh Jacobs, I think he's in the final year of his contract with the Packers. And as he's getting older, could be nearing the end of his career. Same thing with Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. Could be nearing the end of his NFL relevance. Was hyped up a little bit as a rookie 7th round pick. There's not that big of a path for him going forward, possibly. So this, I mean, I could not go higher than a 2 at running backs here. And if we're getting all 2s, it's likely that we're not contending. Wide receivers, Drake London and friends. There's, This is like a 1. One of the weaker wide receiver rooms in the league, very likely. 12 teams, super flex. Like, yeah, we're not getting a lot of scoring here. Evan says, do you want to change your name to Evan Jr.? The kids can call you Evju. Evan Tom was in here earlier. Wide receivers, I'm choosing between a 1 and a 2, and I'm going to write down a 1. I like Jordan Addison as a value riser during the year. He has multiple fantasy finishes of top 24 production. He just didn't do it last year with JJ McCarthy. I don't know how many wide receivers could have done it last year with JJ McCarthy. Justin Jefferson barely did. He was like wide receiver 18 or 20 by the end of the year. So I do think we get a bounce back with Kyler Murray there for Jordan Addison. There's a possibility that Jaden Higgins is looking okay this year, but he could also just kind of be dust. And then we have like sleeper options like Ryan Flanoy, Antonio Williams, Isaac Tisla. I'll say I like to call out when we have the current year version and the past year version of the same thing. Like last year, people were hyped about Isaac Tisla as a sleeper in Dynasty. He didn't do anything. Antonio Williams, people like him this year as a sleeper option in Dynasty. The commies just signed Diggs. I don't know that we're going to see Antonio Williams do anything. It doesn't mean they can't, but a lot of the time here, when we're looking at players like this, they become Teslas, they become Jack Besh, they become very little. So we need some wide receivers. Tight ends, Laporta. Laporta's a 2. Laporta's like a really good 2. If we had a solid option behind him, then we'd say like 2 to 3. I like Laporta this year. Your future picks, you've just got your own picks going forward. We call that a 2. So we're looking at 2 at running back, or 2 at quarterback, 2 at running back, 1 at wide receiver. It is unlikely this is a contending team. And when we look at the lineup power or projected scoring based on the roster that you have to start, we're in the bottom. We're in the bottom. So what can we do? I mean, we might be going into like a 2-year turnaround. And if we're in a 2-year turnaround, the first thing to think about is all of the players on this team right now are unlikely to be on the winning version of this team. So when we're saying, the thing that I see rebuilding teams do is say, I can't move Drake London, I'm in a rebuild, he's young. We move on. We move on. We move on because moving Drake London is what makes someone pay for Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. So what we're going to put together are a lot of trade packages of like, does this team up here who looks like they have does Njigba with attitude? They've got Judkins, McCaffrey, Monangai. Maybe they're not looking for a running back. We're going to look for a team that may want someone like Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt and then offer them up. Like, hey, we'll move Merritt and Drake London, and I want a solid wide receiver and a first-round pick back. And what we want to be doing is basically have sentences like this. I'm trading Drake London, getting a wide receiver and a first, and I want that trade to not make sense. I want to be getting a first-round pick back with Drake London and too good of a wide receiver. And then I want to add some junk until someone says yes and gives me that wide receiver and first-round pick package. I think that makes sense. That's the type of thing I do. We'll end up posting that in some of the descriptions of how we're looking to build trades for this. We are in an odd year where 2027 firsts in general are very highly valued. People have decided that the next year's draft class is elite and we got to get in on 2027. And if you're in a 2-year turnaround, we're just looking for value rising assets as well as removing value decaying assets. Like Josh Jacobs, probably not going to become more valuable this year. We got to get him out of here. Jaden Higgins could be a value rising thing, but it's also pretty volatile. It could just be that he's not that great for the Texans. He's a 2nd round NFL draft pick. Those don't convert into great receivers very often. For every T. Higgins and Luther Burden, players drafted in the 2nd round of the NFL draft, there's 100 Jack Beshes. If you don't know who Jack Besh is, exactly. He was drafted last year and did nothing for the Raiders. Maybe he has a 2nd-year breakout, but I don't want to hold on to a lot of those guys in a rebuild. I typically try to sell the hype to someone else and just get more sure things, first-round picks. And for your team, I'd be looking at like 28s and 29s because you can get them for cheaper right now. And this team is unlikely to contend this year or next year. So even if you're getting in 2029 firsts, when you're making moves next offseason, they'll just be worth more. They'll just be worth more than you spent to get them right now. So as we're saying, 28s and 29s, it's just because they're cheaper and will go up in value. And 2027s are kind of a hot commodity and won't for sure go up in value. If you feel like you can get them in a trade, like, yeah, swing it, take them. Grab them. What I'm going to be doing is just putting together packages of Mahomes and Josh Jacobs, Jordan Love, like everyone on this team can go and everyone that you bring in can also go. So I'll make a note of saying this in the write-up. I'm in a rebuild right now. I'm in year 2 of this. I took over a team like this. I had Drake London, and instead of Chase Brown, I had Kyron Williams. I'm in year 2 of it. I just brought in Jacoby Myers in a trade. I am never going to start Jacoby Myers. I brought him in because I got him for really cheap, and now I can trade him to a contending team for more than I paid. So if you end up in situations like that, we don't want to limit ourselves to just value like young players in picks. We want to bring in things that we can trade away. And as long as we bring them in cheap and then trade them away to someone else, that helps the rebuild. So the key thing that I would be making as a rule for any trade here is we need to get rid of everything that's going to go down in value. If we take and we just said, well, we move Chase Brown for picks, great, we're done. Those picks will go up in value, but they'll go up in value while a bunch of stuff on your team is going down in value. So if you make the trades right, you can get rid of decaying assets like Josh Jacobs and turn that into something that's either holding value or going up. So we'll put together a bunch of trades off the stream and put together some write-ups of why we like that concept for a trade. The thing that I'll add on the live stream is it all has to be your work. No one is going to come to you and give you a great deal. There are going to be teams that just say no. Like I'm in a trade conversation right now. I offered a player in a different league and someone said, I don't want that guy. I was trying to trade someone hyped like DeJon Stribling and pair them with an older player. Like, okay, if you don't want that guy, we won't do the trade. I'm not going to back down on the rules that I have. I'll go to someone else and make a deal like that. And that's the guidance here. So we'll add that in the write-up. Thank you very much for submitting this. It's hard to, because of the nature of a rebuild, we'll put together some very, it's hard to go through a lot of trades on the live because I expect a lot of trades will get declined. So we're going to be under a 10% trade conversion rate, but we're going to build our trades in such a way that when one goes through, it's such a win for us just on the state of the team. We're getting rid of a value decaying asset at a great price. So we'll write those ones up. I know sometimes we pull up other teams and go through that as we're looking at contending teams and saying, oh, these guys are at the bottom. You could grab some, like actually I clicked on your team. These guys are at the bottom. You could go get Rico Dowdle or Rashad White. Or if we were looking at your team, we'd say like, hey, this guy should probably get rid of Josh Jacobs, send him some seconds. We're going to build our trades where you're not taking seconds for Josh Jacobs. We're adding something to Josh Jacobs to get you to a first. And people don't want to do that, but eventually they do, if you push and stay consistent and keep asking. So we'll write that up. I'll add that as notes in there and we'll wrap that one up. Thank you very much, Ryan. Thank you very much, Ryan. Let's check on some of the chats, like Josh from Newfoundland. If I submit my team, could you take a look at it and give feedback? We did just launch that for your ESPN redraft leagues. I know some people I have seen in the chat typing out 12 names and saying rate it 1 out of 10. We offer that. It's just we do it on our site so that we can put the team up on the screen and talk through it, and we go over them live in a queue. I find that people will spam the chat if with their 10 players that they drafted until I block them. So we have that. It's available on the site. It's right here. If you're on TikTok, you can submit that for your ESPN leagues as of this morning, as of last night at midnight, and we'll add in Yahoo over the next 1 to 2 days. JC Rays. I have the third pick in a 10-team half PPR league. Most likely I'm getting Chase, but if Gibbs or Bijan somehow fall, who should I try snagging in round 2? Nico Collins, Brock Bowers. Those are the ones that jump out to me in that range. Chuck, what do you think of Josh Jacobs and Malik Neighbors? I feel okay about Josh Jacobs. I feel okay. I mean, my face kind of says it, like, okay. I may end up with Josh Jacobs on a league. He's not someone that I'm like targeting or as I'm drafting things, writing down, going like, man, I hope Josh Jacobs falls to me. But there are going to be times, I don't know, I take him a little bit behind ADP. Jonathan Taylor or Cook, Evan? I think I'm Jonathan Taylor. I think more people are Jonathan Taylor, and I typically side with the market on that. We got another team review. We're going to open this one up because it's getting to an hour and 25 minutes. And I keep telling myself we'll go 7:30 to 9, and 9 is fast approaching. It's 4 minutes away, and we're never going to finish the team review in 4 minutes. So let's take a look at Prom King. The team review coming from Team Prom King 17 for an Adam H. And we are starting this one. Okay, Adam, you're Prom King. Want to add that we get a 1 point per win during the regular season, then bonus points depending on how you finish. Example, 10 points for first. At the end of 5 years, the team Okay. Is that the full message? I see you, Adam. You let me know. I feel like I might have a stroke reading it. I'd add that we get 1 point per win during the regular season, then bonus points depending on how you finish. At the end of the 5 years, the team with the most points gets, and 1 win gets a huge payout. Okay. So the goal is to win, and you don't want to rebuild. Is that the gist? Rebuilding costs a little bit more because after 5 years, you haven't won as many games. Is that the way you view it? Jack being perplexed by a team setting is saying something. I don't know. We do block out some. I think this year, and I'm not in. Okay, we're at the end of 5 years this year, and you're not in contention. And you're not in contention for the league and or not in contention for the top 5. I'm looking at you, Prom King. Let's just go through the review. Because you're not in, I think you might be in contention this year. Okay, quarterback, running back. I need to make sure I don't lean. I have to write out some of the, I start taking my notes. I write down all the positions. Okay, this is a 10-team, 1 quarterback, start 8, a shallow league. Shallow. Nothing wrong with shallow, but it changes the way we value different players. Doesn't change the way I value you, Adam, just the way we value players. We want the high-end players. Players like Braylon Allen here have very little value in a 10-team start 8 compared to a deeper league where they might do something. So let's go through these position by position. Did I write down a time for this? 1:28. Quarterbacks. Bo Nix, CJ Stroud, Bryce Young. 3 guys, not feeling amazing about them, about Stroud or Bryce Young. If you've had them over the course of 5 years, apologies. Not apologies that I told you to take CJ Stroud. I didn't really like CJ Stroud. I feel great about not liking CJ Stroud. For you, it's a bit of a bummer. If we're looking at 10 teams here in this league and you have Bo Nix, we'll probably get he was QB7 last year. So we'll be in the top 10, but we're in the bottom third. This is like a 1 at quarterback. It's not a 0. You have a starting quarterback. And I do want to call out, if Kyler Murray was dropped in this league, pick up Kyler Murray. Spend something to get Kyler Murray. When he is a starter, he's a top 10 quarterback. So get him on this team as the first thing, just because I saw that someone recently dropped Kyler August 17th. And I would probably spend pretty big. Luke Isham, can we do Yahoo starting in 2 days, 2 to 3 days, Luke? We just dropped ESPN. So in a couple days, we'll launch Yahoo. Let's go to running backs. We did a 1 at QB. Running backs, Breece Hall, Kyren Williams. That's a fine 1-2 punch. That's a good one. That's middle of the pack 1-2 punch. Barely Bat redraft is up for ESPN. Yes. That's a good 1-2 punch. Behind that, Jalen Warren probably still has some value this year, but this is feeling pretty weak. If it just feels like you can fill the slots and they're not winning you weeks, that's Kyren and Breece Hall. Kyren last year, running back 9. Breece Hall was a double-digit running back. Maybe gets better with the offense just getting better, but not a ton of hope here. Maybe we get a start or 2 from Chris Rodriguez, but in a league this shallow, it's unlikely. Wide receivers, big boys. Here's where the value is. Jamar Chase, George Pickens, Nico Collins, Marvin Harrison. There's a really, really good 3. Because it's such a shallow league, we'd want to get you to a 4 if George Pickens was, I don't know that I'd have to say as high as Pook. If it was like Justin Jefferson, Malik Neighbors, that would get you to a weaker 4. That's not our goal to get you to a weaker 4. I just like to tell people, hey, here's about how far you are off from the next tier up. And if we're looking at the past 5 years, or we're coming through 5 years, I can understand. CJ Stroud, big value loss for you. Marvin Harrison, big value loss for you. Tight ends, Tyler Warren, Isaiah Likely, Theo Johnson, 2 Giants guys. If we're feeling like if you're saying you're not in contention, this team could be in contention. I would say we don't need a second tight end. Maybe we move on from that. But we'll put tight ends as a 3. Tyler Warren is just really, really good. And let's actually get the team on the screen. So we went through these. We went through the teams as it was. It's on the screen so that you can have this and the replay as well. Bo Nix, Stroud, Bryce Young. We called that a 1. Running backs, Breece Hall, Kyron Williams, Jalen Warren. It's like you'll fill the position. It's not going to win your league. So we call that a 2. Wide receivers, we said 3. Really strong. Nico Collins is still going to give you really good production. Probably similar or more, or similar. Yeah, probably similar production to like George Pickens. Nico Collins was very good last year, and he's not that old, so we're okay. Marvin Harrison has let you down. Tight ends, Tyler Warren, we called this, what did we say? A 3. We're in the top 4 of tight ends. We're definitely in the top half of a 10-team league with our lineup at tight end. We'll call it a 3. With your own picks, you just have your own. You've got the 104 in this year's draft. We'll talk about that, how we might use that pick. But if you just have your own picks, like we call that 2. It's the same as the way we said with running backs. You're filling out the position. It's not going to win you the league, but it's there. It's not going to lose you the league. It's 2. When we're looking at this team, what did we say? 1, 2, 3, 3, 2. Like you could sneak into the playoffs. Where are we? Prom King? You're at the top. We're looking okay. 10-team, 1 quarterback start, 8 kicker defense. If you have an elite kicker or defense, that could be pushing you up. We're going to be adding in. Okay. What are some of these teams we're up against? 207, like the team looking behind you. Devonta Smith as a top option. Michael Wilson. I'm not that worried about this team. Josh Allen kind of makes up for some of the wide receivers on Saquon D's. Riddled with downs. Like, I think you can contend to make the playoffs this year. I think you can take a look and sneak into the playoffs. Have you been on the outside of the playoffs looking in for multiple years? Kellen Munoz, it's right here, Kellen. Here's a league on ESPN. It's right here it'll say league ID in the URL. Prom King, okay, well, yes, you have the 104. I should have been able to Sherlock Holmes that. Missed the playoffs. Can we get you into the playoffs this year? I don't see this as something that we need to like blow up the team. If you feel like you're out of contention for this, let me clarify, or let me make sure that we have this. It's not on the screen. Yeah, sorry about that. We did put that up there. Okay, you're not in contention for the payout. And if you don't want to be in the contention for the 5-year payout and you're fine with retooling it here, we could. Although I'd say, like, yeah, you missed the playoffs last year. Marv hurt you. Jamar Chase had a dip. I know Bo Nix cost you some games early. Breece Hall had a down year last year. There's a lot of bounce back candidates. Can we find a way to get you into the playoffs? If we're not feeling that strongly about it for the contention, we've got the 104. I don't love the 104 in this year's draft. I don't hate retooling and trying to get an early 27 first, get a different quarterback, and then rebooting and bringing stuff in. I'll say, like, all we're trying to do is get probably 28 firsts and just run the plan of what you do in a rebuild is build a lot of picks. And then we don't need to make those picks. We just trade those picks for players when we have enough and a lot of them. So we trade for picks in 2028, and then next year they're worth more, and we trade those for players and restock. But we're borderline here. I feel like if you want to go for it, we can go for it. So I think when I put trades together for the write-up, I'm going to look at both options. Like, can can we, because I think if you go grab Kyler Murray, that's extra quarterback value. And then you just trade away Bo Nix and run with Kyler Murray and see how that looks at the start of the year. That's probably the first thing I would do. As I'm getting more familiar with like this team in my mind, if it's my team, I'm spending a lot for Kyler, bring him in. If I can get value for Bo Nix, trade Bo Nix. I think you had said there was a trade. That's why I was thinking send Kyron plus likely for Wilson and then trade Pickens in the 104. Okay, that's making more sense. We're spending too much on those trades. We would be spending too much on those trades. Like sending Pickens in the 104 to bring in Jeremiah Love, even if we're deciding that we're tanking, I think we're we're sending away too much. Too much stuff that's just going to be good for years. Like George Pickens would still be good for years. Kyron Williams is not too old. He's not someone that we need to get rid of. He has a contract with the Rams. Blake Corum is there, but it doesn't mean Blake Corum's going to take his job. Okay, so if this is a team you want to just bring down for a year and then bring back up, we can build trades for that. It's going to be trades like we were talking about with other people on the show. Like if we're moving Jamar Chase, we're only doing it because someone's paying us for Jaylen Warren or they're paying us for CJ Stroud, something they don't want to do. But if we take CJ Stroud and Jaylen Warren and combine that value, we can get a pretty good piece back. We want to be sending away trades where someone's looking at it and saying like, man, I don't really want these guys, but I do want Jamar Chase. So I'll buy these guys at kind of the higher end of the market for them. And then you come away with a win on that. I don't know that we necessarily like have to, but we'll be looking to get rid of Isaiah Likely. We'll be looking to get rid of like Jawan Jennings, possibly. That might be someone that you just need to keep offering every single week as injuries happen in the year or as teams need bye weeks covered if he does anything for Minnesota. Other options that we'll have here, like I don't know that you're going to get anything for Bryce Young. These are kind of just, you drafted Stroud, you drafted Young, the top two quarterbacks from a couple years ago, and it didn't work out. The thing I would add on here also, like you don't have to make this 104 pick. If we're not contending this year, we can try to punt this pick with Jaylen Warren and move it into 27, move it into 28 for teams that want to contend more. And then you start the next couple years towards this mega payout. So what we'll do is we're going to, just like we talked about with the last deal, it's harder to go through and build out trades live because most of the trades that we build, like the one that you suggested, the 104 and George Pickens for the 101 probably just gets accepted. I don't want every trade that I send to get accepted. I want to be on that borderline and probably far, far fewer getting accepted. And then we'll build out more to get them accepted. Sheck 2_5, you do. Yeah. I think we have a premium product, Sheck. It's not free. Got someone else in here. We'll just block them. So I'll go through offline. We've got a couple for the rebuild and we'll take a look at what can we gain? Like how much can we get to pull? How much can we get if we move Jamar Chase? How much can we get if we move George Pickens? And what we will do with those is we'll put in, so I'll type out like some of the rules of I'm open to moving these guys, but only if these criteria are met. And we'll put example trades in there. Like I'm only moving Jamar Chase if someone's paying me a fair amount for CJ Stroud or Marvin Harrison, who people might not want. So we'll put together stuff like that and we'll come up with the plan of attack that I would have if we're not looking to contend this year. The other thing that we'll mention, if you're not looking to contend this year, like we can get Jordan Tyson, although you guys haven't drafted, so that makes it harder to get him at a value, but like go get Zach Charbonnet, who's injured right now. Go check in and see what the Malik Neighbors manager thinks. And then as players get injured, you should be acquiring them onto your team. That's the easiest way to buy something low. They sit on your bench injured. You're not trying to score points anyway. And then when they're healthy again, they don't even have to start for you. Just once they get healthy again, you can trade them away for more. So we'll take a look at some of that. We'll add in trade concepts in the write-up. I think our write-ups are pretty good and in depth with how many trades we put in there, as well as like pivots or frameworks of a trade saying like, this trade is one great player, two volatile assets that are likely to decay in value. And then here's how we're trading them for things that are either going to hold their value or go up. Because the biggest thing that we want on a team like this is just to get rid of value decaying assets and then start finding things that can be raising in value. So that's like Jalen Warren. We don't have a ton of them here. Jalen Warren, possibly Nico Collins. I don't know that he's going to lose a ton of value over the next year. But like Keenan Allen, if you can get anything for Keenan Allen, then yes, we're moving him. Even if it means we have to move Breece Hall with Keenan Allen attached. As long as we're getting paid value that respects both players in the deal, that's the rule that we want to be hitting, and we just want to keep moving, guys. So I wouldn't look at anyone here and say, like, these are going to be on the contending version of my team. Everything should be available to move as long as it fits certain criteria, and we'll write those up for you. So thank you very much for submitting that one. That will be in the My Advice tab on the site. You'll be able to go to My Advice, and then it will be under team reviews. It's going to load. It'll be under your team reviews. Mine's going to show all the ones that we did, but you'll just have one or two there. Cooper, would you take Judkins or Swift? I take Judkins for higher upside. DeAndre Swift is unlikely to be a top 8 running back, but Swift is unlikely to be a top 8 running back, but Judkins could. So I tend to go towards upside when I'm drafting in redraft leagues because I want tradability. And if I draft someone, I want to be able to easily trade them for the value I paid or the upside to trade them for more. And then in a redraft league, you got to just be thinking there are going to be running backs and wide receivers that come up later in the year, and you need space to put them on the team. Barely bad. Yeah, if you want to go through and have your team on the screen like we just did for that one, we have that for Dynasty leagues, and then we have that in a shorter version for redraft leagues. We also have a subscription on the site. If you guys are looking to ask or trade questions, we'll be live Monday through Thursday, Sunday mornings, covering your trade questions. And then to get those done, we just do them through a queue system so that they can, I don't think we have any active trades in the Dynasty queue right now. We've been doing some on the show where we show graphics of the trade. Those are all done through the site. That's handled through a subscription. And then the last thing we'll show is we've got our, I think I'm logged in here. We've got our trade builder. This is something that we have had for Dynasty for a bit. If you guys are in redraft leagues, one of the things that we got asked the most last year, or the type of question we got the most was, I've got this player. What can I get for them? So we've built that. We have our trade builder. It pulls real trades. It builds values based on real trades that are happening. And if you're looking at a team, this is our demo ESPN league. If I wanted to move Jalen Waddle and Nico Collins, I've just clicked those players and said, I want to move them. It's built trades based on the actual rosters in my league. Let's say I have Nico Collins and Jalen Waddle, and I want the trade to include at least one wide receiver and one running back. So we need packages of 2. It's gone through the real rosters in my league. And if we're saying, like, I have Nico Collins, what can I get for him? I have Jalen Waddle, what can I get for them? It's building trades in the league that I'm in right now using the scoring settings of my league. And then you can break it down. Like this one says you could get Drake London and DeAndre Swift. If I just wanted Drake London and other players from this team, you can just click Drake London. It pulls up the other manager's team, and then it suggests things to fill in the rest of that trade for you. So it's originally suggested Drake London and DeAndre Swift, and now it's suggesting other trade packages that are close in value. It looks like it's having a hard time finding trades with 2 more players being added in that don't favor me, or the closest ones favor you. So we can do some tweaking on that, but it's the best way to build out trades. Typically when I'm looking to make trades, I'm looking to make like 5-10 trade ideas at one time rather than sending one, hoping I get it, or the guy declining, saying he'll counter me within an hour. I'm just sending out like 5-10 options that are all fair value trades and trying to get that. Yam, why do you always have a drink in your hand when you make a video? Because you look at it, Yam. Because people comment on it. Because people come into my live and ask about it. And because I'm thirsty. If I'm holding a coffee in the video, it's because it's the morning. Leo Plob, how do you submit your team? The site is best on desktop because it shows a lot of information. We'll tailor it more for mobile because I know a lot of you guys are watching on mobile. You go to advice. You can also go to Boom Bust Plus. In the top right, we have a monthly subscription for submitting your trade questions to the live show. Access to the Trade Builder tool is on a subscription that we just have check-ins. If you have a redraft league and you just want us to pull up your team and go through it and talk through trades that we would be looking to make, that one is there. You get a discounted price when you are on the subscription. And then these are the Dynasty ones that we went through. So we did do some Dynasty deep dives. Those are more in-depth and more expensive. For the redraft leagues, we'll put them up on your screen. We'll go through it. We'll talk about, this is something that we did offline in our Discord last year for Twitch subs. We've just moved it onto our website and adding it on to the show. Leo Plob, I have to pay for you to look at my team? You don't have to pay for me to do anything. If you want me to do it, yes, Leo. I don't know why that's confusing. So that's what it is. That's what it is. We'll wrap it up there. We will be back again tomorrow, 7:30 Central Time. And what day is tomorrow? Wednesday? A. Hopkins says it's worth it. If Lee doesn't like it, that's fine. Lee, I'm sure you can go find someone to do it for free. Lee, I'm sure you can find someone to do it for free. I know that everyone who was doing it for free last year stopped. Now there's a new crew, and they'll probably stop too. Let's end the show there on a low note. Just kidding. Let's end it on a high note, guys. We will be back tomorrow, 7:30 Central Time, and then Thursday as well. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Goobs, would you rather have Bowers and Marvin Harrison or Kraft and Neighbors? Goobs, you can submit trade questions on our site. Thank you guys very much. This will be the end. We'll just end it there. I'm just going to ramble until I click go offline. Take care, guys. Thank you for being with us.